An absolutely true story. I got a phone call today saying, Paul Merton's sick, can you do Have I Got News For You? And I was quite thrilled. It's a bit of an honour to be asked. And the only person in my house was my Polish cleaner. And I said, Dorota, I've been asked to do Have I Got News For You? And she honestly said, I suppose everyone else is in the jungle.
Good evening and welcome to Have I Got News For You. I'm Jack D. Sadly, Paul Merton is unwell this evening and we all wish him a full and speedy recovery, apart from Frank Skinner, for whom this is a dream come true. In the news this week at the company headquarters, after ruthlessly sacking the entire nuts and bolts department, the chairman of IKEA relaxes in the recreation room. Broadcasting House, for the first time, cameras are allowed in to witness the decision-making process of senior management at the BBC. On Ian Hislop's team tonight is an actress and comedian about whom the Evening Standard wrote she was clearly born to be a comic, being tall, posh and jocular. Although short, common and miserable can sometimes work as well. Please welcome Miranda Hart. And with Paul Merton tonight is a priest and close family, but please don't let that spoil your enjoyment of the show. And with Frank Skinner as a political journalist who, when asked recently which satirists do you admire, replied, I love Private Eye, of course. Well, that's a funny thing because, as it happens, the editor is... oh, you already know. Please welcome Quentin Letts. In round one, we cover the bigger stories of the week. Frank and Quentin, here's yours.
Oh, there's Maggie, and there's the young Fred Astaire trying to butt in with his blue microphone.
There he is, on the phone saying, why aren't I replacing Paul Merton? That's better than a Zimmer frame, you'll admit.
She's called Christiana, in pink.
In case we thought she was the other one.
Yeah.
This is the story of the week. John Sargent, one-time political reporter, not universally adored in his day at Westminster by his colleagues, I have to say. But
get the boot in early.
I've got nothing against him myself, but he's gone down very well with the public, and they're voting for him, or they were voting for him because he's jumped out.
The judges who said it was a dancing contest were very angry by the fact that he basically couldn't dance. And they said he should go back to his old job in Notre Dame. Or, of course, those insurance ads when he says, oh, yes. John Sargent looks like a Churchill the dog candle that has been alight for several hours.
Oh, I voted for John 3 times.
No.
Yeah. Oh, thanks. Yeah.
You see, the public really like him.
Exactly. John was more entertaining to me than watching Rachel Stevens sexing it about the place.
Yeah, we don't want that sort of thing.
We saw a little clip of him dancing. Do you want to see a bit more of him doing
come on.
this marvellous passe doble?
I liked it when the judges were all being incredibly rude and asked him what he'd brought to this particular dance. in a very stroppy way, and he said, raw sex appeal.
But he did say that the public will save me, which is what put me off him.
Yeah, he got a bit pleased with himself.
You thought that was a bit cocky?
Yes, and he started taking it very seriously.
I think Joan of Arc said that, didn't she?
Just before the faggots went down.
Yes, well,
How,
sorry, that one.
And I thought it was terribly encouraging. This was a demonstration of democracy at work. You had a series of unelected judges who thought they were making the decisions and found they weren't. And as happens in most sort of regimes around the world, they got jolly cross. And then they said this is a dancing competition, and obviously hadn't noticed that it wasn't. It's an entertainment show, and he was very amusing.
Exactly.
And the public just, the more annoyed the judges got. I wish this worked in the High Court. The more the public will was displayed.
Like Mrs. Thatcher, he can say, I was never defeated by public vote, you see.
Or like Gordon Brown.
I love the way the Russian girl is sort of dancing for two. He just sort of went for a walk around the dance floor. She's really overcompensated. Just keep walking, John, I'll carry this off.
You know he's gone out now because he knows he gets maximum publicity and then makes him more valuable as an after-dinner speaker on the cruise ship.
Yeah, I do. I think that might be why everyone does Strictly Come Dancing. It's a sort of job centre with sequins.
Yeah.
And the judges said this isn't help the aged.
Yeah.
And given that the judges are all incredibly old, I mean, Arlene Phillips is over 100.
Right.
Craig Revel Hallward called me a lumbering elephant once.
Oh.
Did he?
Yes. So we don't... Look, I love the fact I got an R, that's brilliant.
Were you dressed as an elephant? Which kind of gets him off
I
the
wish
hook,
I
if you
was,
ask me.
because that would be less offensive, but I wasn't.
Oh, that's
What were you doing?
very on-
I was doing Fame Academy. Comic Relief does Fame Academy.
Oh, when was this?
Hello, Big Brother.
Yeah.
Coming back at you.
All right, moving on. It's funny that we haven't got any footage of me doing Big Brother.
No.
I'm saying all the things that I know. Conversation. I gotta handle you just right. You know what I mean? Let's get physical. I wanna get physical. I just need sports. Your body.
Just going back to John Sargent a minute, though. How has Bruce Forsyth reacted to the news?
He was very thoughtful when I saw him. Oh.
He's put on a baseball cap and a strange jacket.
It was like having a bit of generation going on the show, and this is what the people loved. And John is such a gentle, lovable person. They just wanted to see more of him, you know.
You know what that is, don't you? You've come the day I wash my toupee.
Who has expressed an interest in filling John Sargent's slot?
Mandy. Lord Mandelson of Hartlepool and Foy in the county of Herefordshire.
He's been close to Russians before, let's face it.
If he dances, it'll just be spin, spin, spin. I'm pleased with that.
Very good. Ian, are you a dancer? You like a bit of dancing?
Just wondering if you've got any footage.
Would you ever, for instance, at some point dance with Peter Mandelson and, I don't know, Jeremy Paxman and the author Robert Harris? Would that
I didn't
be...
dance, I
good.
sang.
Sang?
I sang a very innocuous version of YMCA's Village People with Peter at a birthday party for a mutual friend.
No, we haven't actually got a clip of it. Luckily the cheque cleared in time, so that won't be shown. It's the ugly face of Saturday night television as Strictly Come Dancing's John Sargent left the show. Still, at least he left with his head held high, although his bottom wasn't quite tucked in enough for my liking. There was more trouble for the BBC this week as they prepared to reveal the results of their inquiry into the Ross Brand affair. There are accusations that people are running scared at the BBC, but I'll tell you something. If they think they can stop edgy comedians like me pushing the boundaries, then, well, they're blinking ninnies. Actually, I think you'd probably cut that bit. I went a bit further than I wanted to. Please? Also this week, Diego Maradona arrived with the Argentinian team to play Scotland. We got some footage of Maradona putting his team through their paces before the match. Ian and Miranda, here's your story.
That's Gordon's plan to keep warm this winter. Burn money. Oh, there's Bush. No one's told him he has to shake hands. Look. Who's that?
That's George Osborne, who's not posh, but just checking with his wife, he is going shooting this weekend.
Did George Bush look at the man in front's bottom on that clip?
I think we should see it again.
But Osborne's been having these voice lessons, hasn't he? Because his voice is a bit tinny, it's thought.
But wasn't it that his voice is too posh as well?
I thought he was trying to de-posh, yeah. Drop his T's and H's, you know. As a fellow person who was thrown into a boarding school, you are surrounded by people called Hugo and Biffo and Bunty and Fanny and Podge.
Didn't they send you to a girls' school, then?
And, you know, people who sort of make English words sound European by going Marveloso or Hidiola. So that's what they do. That's what he's been...
They sound terrific.
Yeah, that's what he's been surrounded by, so I think he's done quite well if he has de-posh.
I mean, he was perceived to have made a mistake this week, because he said there was a run on the pound, as though everyone hadn't noticed that the pound is now worth 1 groat.
So, as another international statesman who's been sounding off about the consequences of fluctuating exchange rates, do you know who that would be?
Gordon Brown's talked about it in the
Boris
past.
Johnson is the answer.
Ah, Boris. Right.
Boris Johnson
International statesman.
in the Telegraph. He's very concerned at the implications for when he goes skiing. He said, if I buy a tartiflette to be shared by my famished children, I'll pay 25% more than last year. And then he said, if that isn't the definition of national humiliation, I don't know what is. It's good to see that Boris hasn't lost the common touch, has he? Anyway, inflation's down as well, so what have we've got to fear now, according to The Economist?
Deflation.
Yes, correct. Apparently, with falling prices, the problem is that everyone waits to see that it'll go further and further down. And they hesitate to spend the money because they think it's just going to get cheaper and cheaper.
Well, like food.
Food, exactly.
Yeah,
well,
we won't eat till Thursday.
Yeah.
I bet you beans are off half a p.
I haven't bought any food for my kids for 4 or 5 weeks now. not even a tartiflette. So, the government is considering tax cuts. Did anyone see Ed Balls giving a hint that they think it's the right thing to do?
The right thing to do is to act now. What can I do now to help families? That's the right thing to do. To support families today, that is the right thing to do. It's not about tax rises now, it's about tax cuts now. And that seems to be the right thing to do.
What about single people? They don't get much of a look in, do they?
Screw single people, they're still having a good time. Meanwhile, David Cameron's 4-year-old daughter was asked by a journalist this week what she thinks he does for a job. She said, my daddy reads the newspaper for a living, then added, when I'm watching the cartoons on telly, he switches over and watches himself instead. So, what was David Cameron's response? Did you see what he had to say about that?
Did he put her into care?
Yeah. He said that it was a frankly insulting definition of what I do. She's 4 years old, David, lighten up.
At the Prime Minister's question time, she was standing up and saying, yeah, Daddy, you turn up. And he was going, no, does my daughter know that she wet the bed till she was 2? Sorry, I got a bit carried away there.
Has anyone else ever stood up on this programme before? That was an exciting moment.
Yes, I think Kirsty Young did.
Oh. Actually, Russell Brand went to the loo, didn't he? Oh, he sat in this very seat.
Yeah, he didn't go to the loo in that seat.
No, I hope not.
I'm actually standing up now, thanks. What put the brown nose out of joint this week? Anyone know?
The brown nose.
It's very dull when it suddenly does become a quiz, isn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, I don't know.
Is it Gordon Brown's nose?
Is
it or is it not Gordon Brown's nose?
Is it just literally out of joint? Was he smashed in the face and it's hanging loose?
No, that's his jaw.
Right, sorry.
That's apparently because he used to swim a lot as a child. And, you know, you do that kind of... Still there, he's taking in air, Gordon. Why don't you get off his back? He's got one eye, why don't you bring that up as well?
Why he's had his nose put out of joint, which started the conversation about his various disabilities. And we didn't even get on to the politics. He's been invited to a summit in January on the global financial crisis. Tony Blair is organising, he's hosting it. So Gordon Brown's spokesman said that he was still considering his other diary commitments in January. Because those Christmas trees just don't take themselves to the dump, do they, Gordon? Meanwhile, Cabinet Minister Liam Byrne...
Oh, yes. He's the great coffee man, isn't he? He wrote a very precise, detailed note that said, I like coffee at 11:15 in the morning or something like that, and I am a coffee fiend.
Specifically, he said, I like a cappuccino when I come in, an espresso at 3 p.m. and soup at 12:30. The room should be cleared before I arrive. I like the papers set out in the office before I get in. If I see things that are not of acceptable quality, I will blame you. He says all briefing notes should eliminate absolutely positively all extraneous words. And David Miliband was in Israel this week. Did anyone see how his low-key visit went?
The Foreign Secretary rode in a convoy of bulletproof vehicles, and there was just a hint of nerves as David Miliband arrived at a school for a musical performance.
This is the news that, thanks to Gordon Brown's decisive action, the dreadful spectre of inflation has been vanquished and replaced by the dreadful spectre of deflation. According to the Daily Express, among the goods becoming cheaper are sausages, bacon and biscuits, or for viewers in Scotland, health foods. And so to round two, the jigsaw of news. Fingers on buzzers, buzz when you know the story.
This is a very peculiar story about a couple who met each other on one of these internet things, and then they've split up.
It was Second Life. She caught him with a virtual woman on a virtual sofa. Which doesn't sound so bad, but apparently a year before she'd caught him with a virtual prostitute. I mean, you'd think if you went virtual, you wouldn't have to pay for it, wouldn't you?
But that's the weird thing about Second Life. It's quite real, I think. You have jobs and you exchange money. So just think, how bad is your life if you're excited about logging on to... I've got a meeting with the bank manager, I might get a mortgage.
Some of us enjoy... Oh, yeah.
Sorry.
Should we have a look at what they look like? This is their virtual characters, Dave Barmy and Laura Skye in the internet world, Second Life, and they live in a chalet with a helicopter gunship parked outside. And let's have a look at what Dave Pollard and Amy Taylor in real life look like. And this is them. They live in a bedsit in Newquay, so Second Life, if I understand this correctly, allows people to appear as they'd like to be if only they didn't eat so much. Did you know how she discovered that the affair was going on? She said, I looked at the screen and could see his character having sex with a female character. I was so shocked that I can't recall whether they were in bed or on a sofa. It doesn't really matter because neither of those pieces of furniture are real, are they? Then his character started to go country and western dancing, and my suspicions really started to grow.
Do they call it online dancing? Oh, sorry. Well, he's back next week. Do you think Paul's sitting at home going...
According to The Sun, Amy caught Dave's character having sex with a hooker in February and hired an online detective to investigate. Amy said, "I went mad." No, Amy, you were already there. David Pollard is now engaged to his American cyber girlfriend, even though they've never met. As she explained, "I chat to him over the internet for at least 2 hours every night. We have exactly the same goals in life. None." It's very easy for impressionable women to see someone incredibly attractive on screen, only to be bitterly disappointed when they meet them in the flesh. Obviously, it's not always the case.
Jack Barmy.
Fingers on buzzers, teams.
Well, there's half of Johnny Depp's face, so it's going to be pirates, isn't it?
Congratulations, yes.
But this is nice pirates. In the news, there's not very nice pirates, really. Somali pirates.
Yes.
They've taken on board a huge oil tanker.
The gang are called Al-Shabaab, which means the lads.
Oh, I think I once got my tits out for them.
Did the Mail try to play down the piracy threat, Quentin, did you feel?
We sort of gave it proper coverage, I think.
Yes.
Sort of restrained and,
I think that's
understated.
right. I think it calmed everyone down, actually, with what they had to
Well,
say.
did it suggest they were sailing up the Thames? That you couldn't go out from the Isle of Wight without Somalis jumping on board and murdering you?
Somalian pirates staying £500 a night hotels.
Taking jobs from our pirates.
The Daily Mail calmed everyone down with their sober reflection, which is the real threat: a floating bomb! Does anyone want to see a picture of a ship with a rather better name than Sirius Star? We found this.
Pirates won't be going anywhere near that one, will they?
So, what do these pirates spend their money on? Does anyone know?
Camcorders, so they can make pirate videos.
One pirate told The Guardian, "First we buy a nice house and car, then we buy guns, the rest we use to relax." Oh, sorry, that was Sarah Palin. Sorry. Martin Phillips, the Sun's senior feature writer, obviously knows a lot about modern piracy. In days of yore, it was the rum-soaked ports of the Caribbean where bloodthirsty pirates flaunted their ill-gotten gains with swashbuckling arrogance. Yes, but what about modern piracy? No cutlasses or flintlocks are wielded here. No cannon-laden galleons sit in the harbour, and no drunken, peg-legged thugs lurch from inn to inn beside the Indian Ocean. Yeah, I know, but what about modern piracy? There's no pirate talk of shivering timbers and dead man's chest. Today's maritime marauders are a million miles away from Captain Jack Sparrow, played by Johnny Depp in the Pirates of the Caribbean trilogy.
I'm a bit distracted because you're wearing sort of red socks and riding shoes.
Yes.
He's going to the pirate audition.
Sorry to bring
That's
that up.
okay. I like to match the furniture.
Yeah. It doesn't quite go.
Can you two meet virtually somewhere?
I think so, yeah. Hello, Miranda. Guess what I'm wearing tonight?
Piss off, leave me alone.
So it was you. It's the Saudi Arabian oil tanker, which has been hijacked by Somalian pirates. In a press statement, the leader of the pirates said, "Ha ha 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 ha!" In other shipping news this week, it was announced that the Camel-led shipyard on Merseyside is to reopen. Not inferring anything, but one day an oil tanker disappears, the next day a shipyard in Liverpool reopens with a massive re-spraying contract. It's sitting on bricks while we speak. So, fingers on buzzers. That was Ian and Miranda again.
This is the people that think that Jaffa Cakes is part of your 1 of 5 of fruit and veg a day. And that is true, but I think the worst statistic is that apparently 1 in 20 don't know that an orange is what makes up your part, so they don't actually know what an orange is.
You are absolutely spot on with that answer, Miranda.
Thanks, Jack.
True. No, it's OK. It's a pleasure. 1 in 10 parents also think that a portion of chips counts as 1 of your 5 a day, which is obviously ridiculous. And that's, of course, you have tomato ketchup with it, and then that
I was in the supermarket and the girl behind the counter asked me what a courgette was. She did genuinely say, "What's this?"
Was she working there?
Yeah, she was the person doing the beeps.
Oh, she was holding a courgette. She was holding a courgette. She didn't just say, "What's a courgette?"
No, she was... Sorry, yeah.
It's quite a tricky thing to describe.
Let me explain. She was holding the courgette and went, "What's this?"
Was it not wrapped?
It was just as it...
You bought 1 courgette.
I live alone! I bought maybe 2... I bought loads of courgettes. I'm constantly having parties.
I love a courgette party. If you had 5 pints of cider, would that be your 5 fruit?
It's a good question.
Well, it's apples. Why wouldn't that be?
It's a question of roughage.
A question of roughage. Isn't that quiz
Sounds
show
like
on BBC One? It was never really as popular as a question of sport, really. Didn't have the legs. I thought it would run and run.
A recent survey found that 1 in 10 parents think that Jaffa Cakes, spaghetti hoops and cola all count as 1 of their children's healthy 5-a-day portions. It's also been reported recently that many of Britain's kids are unable to peel an orange. It's a good job they've all got knives, then. Fingers on buzzers.
Is this Hitler?
You're quite right, it is, actually, yes.
Who we discovered this week that it was true that he only had... I don't know if I can say this, but he was a bit short in the trouser department.
Can we just say he had 1 ball?
Had he just had it removed on that picture?
But it does explain why he was so jolly cross the whole time, doesn't it?
It might
Jolly
do, yeah.
cross.
There you have
You mean homicidal maniac?
I think that was the Daily Mail headline at the time. Hitler, jolly cross. It said that he was shot in the Somme, and they used to call him Screamer as a nickname, because after he got shot in the testicles, he lay on the floor screaming, "Help, help." Now, I'm not here to defend Hitler, but that's fair enough, isn't it?
It does say something about the German sense of humour. That the nickname for a man dying in agony is Screamer.
Also this week, in a completely unrelated story, the BNP has had its membership list published on the internet. The list of BNP members is surprisingly wide-ranging and includes teachers, estate agents, an actor, a vicar and Dagenham. Time now for the odd one out round. Your 4 are the guest of honour at Dover's Carnival Parade, Sam Mugabe, Steve Parry and Chris Tarrant. Ian.
I didn't think we had the buzz for this one. That's jolly mean.
Well...
As in homicidally lunatic mean. This man here, the man with the moustache, has been pretending he's a member of Status Quo, who's meant to be leading the parade at Dover.
Quite right.
He's been living the life of Riley for a year, fooling people.
Chris Tarrant took a ride in a taxi and got on terribly well with the taxi driver throughout the journey, and then at the end of it gave him a large tip, and then the taxi driver turned around and said, "Thank you very much, Mr. Savile," mistaking him for Jimmy Savile, which one could easily do.
So...
Well, except that when he gave him the tip, he said, "I don't want to give you that." He looks nothing like Jimmy Savile, does he?
No, we don't, and we haven't got a clue who Steve Parry is.
At this point, it might be a good idea if I just tell you what the bloody answer is. They've all been the subject of mistaken identity, apart from Dover Carnival's guest of honour, Graham Tumber, who deliberately passed himself off as Francis Rossi, lead singer of Status Quo, getting to judge carnival processions with Miss Dover and being ferried around in council limousines. All this despite insisting on being called Graham all the time.
He got away with that, but Francis Rossi got away with playing 3 chords for 25 years.
Steve Parry was swimmer, he's Olympic swimmer in 2004. He's a journalist, but he was mistaken for Michael Phelps everywhere in Beijing, who obviously got 14 gold medals. And if you see the split screen here, we can just sort of see there is actually, I suppose there's a bit of a likeness there, isn't there? Shall we have a look at Steve Parry in Beijing?
Yeah.
Steve Parry from Great Britain. Steve, I came third in the Olympics. I didn't win. Watch these people. I've never felt like a bigger fraud in all my life. But no, I'm not Phelps. I'm not Michael Phelps. I'm not Phelps. I'm not Phelps.
Anyone here been mistaken for anyone else?
Yeah, Margaret Beckett.
You ever
Someone say quickly you're more attractive than Margaret Beckett. Quick.
You've got a lot more hair.
That's it. I've just got a lot more hair. Thank you.
And you're very much more pretty.
Yes.
Oh, thanks. What a spontaneous compliment.
Frank, how about you? You've ever tried to pass yourself off as someone else or been mistaken?
I used to, fun enough on the swimming thing, when I tried to chat people up in Birmingham in my youth, I used to tell them I was a channel swimmer.
Ah.
I don't know why, it just made me sound like I might have quite a lot of stamina. And it explained the smell of goose fat.
And Sam Mugabe was mistaken for a relative of Robert Mugabe, and they froze her wages, HSBC, because of sanctions against her tyrant namesake. And why might Steve Jetley of Shrewsbury sympathise with Sam Mugabe? Well, after an argument with his bank, he changed his account password to Lloyd's is pants. Only to discover they had switched it to No We Are Not. So he tried Barclays is better. But was told that was inappropriate. Then he went for censorship, but they said it had to be 6 letters long, so he went for feces. Yes, they've all been the subject of mistaken identity, apart from Dover Carnival's guest of honour, Graham Tumber. One councillor claimed he'd spotted the fraud straight away, saying, I thought to myself, if that's Francis Rossi, he's turned ginger and shrunk a bit. Even better, they'd got Mick Hucknall. Londoner Sam Mugabe had her wages frozen by HSBC because of sanctions against her namesake. Robert Mugabe's ZANU PF have without doubt been responsible for the biggest vote-rigging scandal of the year. Yes, they all voted for John Sargent in the cha-cha-cha. Robert Mugabe is currently forming a cabinet and is offering leading members of the opposition various posts, to which they'll be tied before being shot. Time now for the Missing Words round, which this week features as its guest publication the official journal of British iron collectors, Pressing Matters. And we start with pedestrians told if you what, drivers will what?
If you run, drivers will accelerate.
If you flash, drivers will crash.
The actual answer is if you step out, drivers will stop. This is a scheme introduced by Ashford Council in which pedestrians can step in front of moving vehicles.
Is it overpopulated, actually?
Not anymore.
Apparently, for pedestrians, the key to stepping into moving traffic is to establish eye contact with the driver and attempt to maintain it as you roll right across his bonnet. What lures shy bat out of hiding?
Rather good slice of pear tart.
Is it Ozzy Osbourne?
The answer is love song lures shy bat out of hiding. Scientists have got bats to reproduce by playing them love songs. And according to the Daily Express in 2005, scientists found just 15 colonies of the rare bats in the whole of Britain, and now they've found 15 colonies in the Isle of Wight. So, no increase in numbers, it's just that the bats have gone there for their holidays. At the next meeting of the British iron collectors, Angela will serve cream teas whilst we get the chance to look at her what?
It's going to be iron-based, isn't it?
Corby trouser press.
What about a steaming squirter?
Her iron collection is the answer.
Oh, that's so boring.
Very. I actually don't do the ironing in my house. I have an East European girl called Magda to do it. And, no, actually, oh, no, God, no. That's in my hit sitcom, Lead Balloon, sorry. I got confused for a minute there. Next, 4 inches high, then what?
Host, have I got news for you?
4 inches high, we won't
I don't
enter you
care what the answer is. You've done it. You don't get the answer. Ian and Miranda got the point because...
Oh, no! Come on, it was a joke.
Well, not a very good one.
Got quite a big laugh.
So, 4 inches high...
Hold on, Quentin gets a go.
He doesn't, he's on your team.
So, what? He might say something great.
Well, go on then.
Not now.
Go on then, Quentin.
4 inches high, then we won't enter you for the high jump. That was...
At least it didn't upset the host.
First you have a crack at me, then you stitch Quentin up by making him do that joke, which wasn't funny.
I didn't... What am I, a psychic?
It's a Yorkshire pud. The quality of Yorkshire puddings in the south of England is one thing every Yorkshireman complains about, the other being everything else. So the final scores are... Ian and Miranda have 9, Frank and Quentin have 6. Very well done.
That's that
But before we go, there's just time for the caption competition. Ian and Miranda, you have this.
Meet the chairman of the Royal Bank of Scotland.
Frank and Quentin, you get this one.
Ah.
Is it, I'll have a vanilla tub, please, young man?
I thought the caption was Paul Merton returns after operation.
On which note, we say thank you to our panellists, Ian Hislop and Miranda Hart, Frank Skinner and Quentin Letts. And I leave you with news that as celebrations for Prince Charles's 60th birthday continue, Camilla gathers all his... I'll go back with that again, can I? Just... No. I'd rather do it now than when they've heard the punchline. Yeah, you can talk.
Yeah, but you can't.
It was going to happen. And I leave you with news that as celebrations for Prince Charles's 60th birthday continue, Camilla gathers all of his friends together for a special party. The British Chess Foundation reveal their strategy to dispel the notion that chess is for lonely nutters. And after Al-Qaeda are suspected of infiltrating the Royal Mail, MI5 send in their top undercover agent. Good night.
And you can catch up with Jack D on Thursday evening at 10 in Lead Balloon. Next on BBC Two, stand-in Captain Davina McCall joins the gang, and guests include Alicia Dixon in Nevermind the Buzzcocks.
What time did you get the call?
About 3:30 this afternoon. Oh. I just sit by the phone waiting for work.
They started calling comedians about 1:30.